You are listening to the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network.
I'm Katrina, and I love anime.
I'm Steven, and I'm aware of anime.
But what if that affection could rub off?
Perhaps that excitement in her eyes got me curious.
I could offer up some solid anime.
I could give them a watch, just to see what all the fuss is about.
And maybe, just maybe,
I could learn to love anime too.
welcome to Inspired by a Weeaboo. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Inspired by a Weeaboo. I am your host Katrina, and with me is my husband Steven.
Hello.
We just finished episode 49 of Fullmetal Alchemist. Steven, what did you think?
What is happening? Jesus. Okay, so to start with, we go back to Pride, or Dear Bradley, however you want to put it, going home to his son, giving him a birthday present. Then in another place, we see Envy reveals to Al that they are at his master's place, unlike the other homunculi. And Envy doesn't care about becoming human, which is why he isn't fooled by the promise of being human or being turned human. Envy leaves Al in the room, stating that there are 7,000 soldiers killed in Riol and Ishbal, or the Ishbalans killed in Ishbal are the people within the Philosopher's Stone, which causes Al to wish he had died when he'd been given the chance before, like contemplating, why did I have to live? Why am I still alive? And the little son of a bitch, Wrath, also kicked off his helmet. Like, I know it doesn't matter, but still, it's
Envy.
Just kind of a envy. I don't know why I keep getting them. It's their hair.
Yeah. Their hair and the pointy teeth.
Yeah, just as a dick move, just kicked his head off to the side.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Ed meets with Russell and Fletcher in an abandoned church that has the secret entrance that was logged into their father's journal. Now, Russell explains the story that when their father came to Central City years ago, it was about how trying to learn how to refine the red water, which I'd forgotten about the red water thing. And apparently wound up working at Laboratory 5 until one day, and they never said who, so unless you know. They said
just that it was a man who, told him where he could find these answers to these questions.
Yeah, and they just said a certain alchemist, someone, showed him a lab to teach him how to refine the red water into a Philosopher's Stone. Recognizing that Lab 5 was nothing more than a front, Ed transmutes and heads off into the secret entrance, promising Russell and his brother, who's named Fletcher, that he would come back. And they said, don't be going down there making Philosopher's Stones or whatever. And he was just like, trust me, I do not give a shit about that anymore, pretty much, is what he said.
Yeah.
Like, that's farthest thing from his mind. So he follows the path down and discovers this hidden area beneath Central, like a big city.
It is. It was an entire city that had been drug underground before Central existed.
And that kind of correlated to something that was in the journal, or Russell told him that was in that journal. Ed realizes that when someone did create the Philosopher's Stone 400 years ago, the city was hidden underground to hide knowledge of the human sacrifices. So Ed obviously assumes this is, where his father's involved. Now, at the hideout, Dante made it very clear that Rose, who seems to be out of it now, is going to be her next host.
Yeah.
And I guess that made sense. I mean, the longer this has been going on and trying to understand why she was even there, it makes sense. So
yeah.
However, she and Envy are having this problem with Gluttony, who's just kind of moping around, asking where Lust is. And Wrath is also having a problem because, like, barged in, begging, he's like, I need a stone because I need to save my mommy. And they're just like, what are you talking about? You don't have a mom. And then Wrath is just like, well, not Wrath, Envy. Here we go again. Envy says, well, he's been assuming that Sloth is his mom, or been pretending or whatever. So Envy pretty much kicks Wrath off the side and beats the shit out of him off screen from what we could hear. Now, back at Central Command, Izumi is still engaged with Archer, who's blowing holes in the wall and just shooting everything.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously she can't really do much with his automail augmentations. So he has backup arrive. She's kind of cornered for a moment. And then Ross and... what did we say the other guy's name is? Ross and...
He's so easily forgettable.
Which is
Brosh.
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 Ross and Brosh?
Denny Brosh. Yes.
Okay.
Brosh and Ross.
Ross and Brosh show up with their own backup and start, shooting back and pushing Archer's forces back.
Yes.
But Archer did kind of offer her, was like, hey, if you want to join me. And obviously, Izumi's like, fuck you. I'm not joining your horse shit.
Yeah, not joining you, evil RoboCop.
Mm-hmm. We needed to come up with a funny name for him. I can't think of anything.
He I don't even, oh my God. I don't like the design of him where he's, got the automail and everything. Because if you look, it just looks so weird. Because not only did they make his arm absolutely massive, like he's got a massive fucking cannon on his arm, but also his leg, it's like you can see where his actual body is, and that like the entire left leg is completely gone. But instead of just making the automail to where it was like flush, like how, Ed's is flush with his shoulder and all that type of shit. No, they like took it out about a foot from his body and then put this big ass metal leg on him. Yeah. So he just, I don't know, he looks freaking weird. Yeah, but it's then again, I mean, I'm sure it just got thrown together. Like somebody said, Picasso.
Yeah, we're just going to just slap this on there and slap that on. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. So anyway, Izumi gets away thanks to Ross and Brosh, the Rossi Broshes. Ed,
the Ross and Brosh.
back down in underground, Ed arrives at the headquarters of Dante, and when he comes into this room, he hears music playing and sees Rose dancing. Just kind of catches him off guard. Now, for some reason, we kind of cut away from this briefly to go see Cheska and Winry. And I wasn't quite sure why they laid this out. Maybe there's some finality to them here, maybe, possibly, I don't know. But it was just them kind of discussing everything, like the homunculi and everybody being so reckless, trying to create the Philosopher's Stone, being selfish, just, contemplating things. But, Cheska's like, people are human, they've done far worse. And even the homunculi themselves have done, or humans have done worse than them. So for power and all that. So
yeah,
I don't know. It was just an odd reflection just out of the blue with the two of them.
I mean, overall, because obviously they don't have all of the facts and everything with the homunculi and the master and all that kind of stuff. But overall, when you think about it, at the end of the day, she's right. Like humans are worse than homunculi because Dante and Hohenheim themselves were humans, killed thousands to create this Philosopher's Stone, and then Dante and them used it to basically stay alive for forever. And then humans created the homunculi. So it all comes back to the humans being the root of the problem.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The homunculi are just the consequences of their actions.
True. So we cut back to Ed watching Rose dance. And in that moment, you hear Lyra.
Yeah. And he was dancing with her. And Rose makes tells him that she loves him.
Yeah, and he's like, whoa. Think about what you just said.
That is also another thing. Even like reading the manga and even in Brotherhood, I never thought that Rose had feelings for Edward.
Right.
Like, I feel like this was something Dante tried to set in motion. Like, maybe Rose had feelings for Edward in a sense of because he saved her, he liberated her, and then, you know, told her, you know, get up on your feet, use them, you know, live your life.
Right.
But love? No.
No, I would definitely agree. I think it's all manipulative. So where she's been kind of in this trance
where
state.
Dante's like hypnotized her or whatever in the hell she's done with her.
Yeah.
She, you know, just saying it. But at the end of the day, it's all because Dante, and super freaking creepy, by the way, because we already know Dante and Hohenheim were in love 400 years ago. They loved each other. Or at least Dante definitely loved Hohenheim. But her entire plan is to take over Rose's body so she can fucking be with Hohenheim's son. Yeah. Like, that is gross.
It's pretty messed up.
Like, you are 400 years old and you're going to take over this woman's body in the hopes of getting to bang your ex-lover's child who is like 15 years old.
Yeah, it's
but anyway, you know, do what you do, creepy old lady.
Yeah, she laid all that stuff out.
Yeah,
but before, like, they had a kind of, before she actually kind of revealed all that, it was kind of a back and forth where Ed pretty much laid out that he had figured out.
Yeah.
That she was Dante.
He figured out she was Dante, realized that, you know, she hadn't been Lyra for quite a while, realized, which, again, it just kind of shows how he lets his emotions kind of run rampant, because he literally believed in the moment when he stepped into Dante's house, saw her body cut in half, and Greed standing there. Granted, he didn't know about, you know, the remains and the symbol and everything else. But at the end of the day, you would have thought that you would have pieced that shit together a little sooner.
Yeah.
Because, again, like he said to Dante in Lyra's body, there's no way Greed could have killed Dante.
Right.
Like, zero way. Between the alchemic symbol, the pattern, transmutation circle, there you go, on the ground and ceiling. I think they had it on both in Dante's house. So it trapped him there, and then his remains being on the table weakened him. And then, yes, Edward was the one that technically killed him, but at the end of the day, I don't know, it just seems like he would have pieced that together a heck of a lot faster. But he's also kind of clouded by, he thinks his father is, like, he knows Dante is also the mastermind behind it, but I think in his brain he thinks that his father and Dante have been working together this entire time.
Yeah.
And especially because of the whole love letter. So to him, he's probably thinking that his father never actually loved his mom, and it was all just some big fucked up scheme.
Yeah.
To create another Philosopher's Stone.
Which, you know, I mean, a fair assessment after he disappeared and all that. So
yeah, you can't really blame him for it.
So here I got quite. I was really just taken aback by some of the conversation that they were having here, because she admitted that everything she's doing was to jump bodies, you know, to just keep on living, have immortality. And he's like, well, clearly equivalent exchange. That's why your body's not working anymore, or it's just deteriorating faster. So, you know, you're going to run out of time eventually. And she then twists that whole argument into this, well, let's talk about equivalent exchange for a minute, because I think it's bullshit. And he's like, well, you're wrong. And he's like, no, let me explain. And then just lays out this very intricate point by point thing about how certain things are not equivalent in any case, starting with how he became a state alchemist over so many other people
Mm-hmm.
who studied harder, worked harder, and did all this other shit when he just kind of fell into it and was like, done. See, I got it.
Yeah,
And-
not only fell into it, but the fact if Edward and Al would have never, granted, you could say if they never tried to transmute their mom, then Edward would have never tried to become a state alchemist because, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, Edward would not have been as strong as he is if he hadn't have seen the gate and obtained, the knowledge, the infinite knowledge or whatever. He wouldn't have been able to do the whole hand clap, transmute something, and it be grand and glorious.
Mm-hmm.
He obtained that skill because he saw what was beyond the gate.
Right.
Just like Izumi. He might have had natural given talent, which we did technically see when he was a child, when his mom was still alive. Every little thing he created was always nicer than like what Alphonse created. But like she states, there are people, grown adult people, because as they stated in, the earlier episodes, Edward is the youngest state alchemist to ever exist.
Mm-hmm.
So you have all these adults that literally worked probably, 90% of their lives to become a state alchemist and worked their butts off, did the schooling, practiced, did everything they could possibly do to finally get their chance to be a state alchemist. And then here comes some little boy with quote unquote God-given talent that we know is not God-given talent. He fucked up, did something that should have landed his ass in jail, but didn't land his ass in jail. And now he literally took the spot of somebody else who probably deserved it more.
Mm-hmm. As she said, quote, equal effort does not always mean equal gain.
No. And that is 100% true in everyday freaking life.
Oh, yes.
It does not matter how hard you work. You could sacrifice your mind, soul, and body for the job that you do. And then somebody off the street can come in and get a better job than you.
Mm-hmm. And to further the
story
point,
of your life, babe.
Yeah, I know. But to further the point, she even uses Rose's baby as a point. She's like, this baby's doing everything it can to survive. Breathing, crying for help, all these things, but I could kill it right now. So what was its purpose? You know?
Was it just born to die?
Yeah. So, is that justifiable? What? You tell me.
It is very, I'm sure a lot of people are like, oh my God, that's so dark. But at the end of the day, it's literally just the entire concept of atheism.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what you would say, not the whole equivalent exchange part, but the fact that, like Lyra says, there's no greater meaning. You live, you die. Once you die, you're dead. That's it. You cease to exist.
Yeah.
And it's kind of her driving point of not wanting to, McDie.
Yeah.
She, I know there are people out there. Anybody on this freaking earth that ever is fantasized about wanting to be a vampire or whatever. It's not because, it's cool. You can change into a bat. You can be fog. You drink blood. No, it's because the immortality.
Right.
Because we know one day we will cease to exist. We know that one day we will be dead. We will be gone. And in 100 years, nobody living will fucking remember us.
One day we'll all be skeletons, as they say.
Yes. One day we will all be skeletons. Or ash,
Yeah,
regardless, we all gonna be dead. And it is a depressing thing to think about, but it's also something that you shouldn't dilute yourself with to a point. But I feel like it's this show, without actually stating it, is just an entire thing against a religion.
Yeah.
They're basically saying anybody who believes in this higher power and anybody who thinks that there's something grander, there's not. It's just, you're going to be here. You work your ass off. You do everything you can possibly do to make your life good. But at the end of the day, don't do it for other people. Do it for yourself, because it's not going to matter.
Sure.
Life doesn't have a meaning. Sorry. It's depressing. And I'm
No,
sorry
I
for
mean-
anybody out there listening. I respect religions. Y'all have every right to believe in what you believe. I think it is really nice to believe in something higher. And for those people that have that faith, I envy it because I've always questioned it. Ever since I was a child, have questioned my belief. And it wasn't until I got older that I completely just turned away from it. But at the end of the day, I respect people who can wholeheartedly believe that there is something greater because I feel like that gives them more peace versus somebody like me who just sits there and thinks of, well, you know, when I'm gone, I'm gone. So it's kind of bleak. But at the end of the day, that I feel like that right there is what gives life purpose. If you know there is an afterlife and that everything is going to be perfect at the end, then what the fuck is the point in living?
Yeah.
But if you know that there is nothing at the end, then you live every day to the fullest and try to have those experiences. Try to do everything you possibly can just to make your life worth it, basically. Yeah. And I feel like it is worth it because you don't get some grand prize at the end of it. We all get the same thing, which is to die.
But hey, we're immortal right now because people could be listening to this 100 years from now. So
yeah, maybe.
Who knows?
If you are, we love you.
For those listening right now, like present day, I mean, thank you. But
yes,
you know, we're talking to the.
We love you too.
We're talking to the 100-year-old people or the people 100 years from now. And hoping that they're just like, hey, what is this? You know, it's a time capsule. Anyway,
yes.
Before we progress, I did want to kind of jump back because we didn't even talk about Gluttony running into the room. It was a very quick scene, but he rushed in, you know, looking for lust or still whining about lust, and comes up to Ed, bites his arm, and he tells Gluttony, you know, that Wrath has killed her. So he just kind of mopes away, like distraught as all hell.
And even further, like Dante points or makes the comment to Gluttony, like, why are you upset? You don't have emotions. Like, you can't feel emotions, which just furthers the point that she is so detached. She makes it seem like she understands the homunculi better than anybody, but at the end of the day, she doesn't. Because every single one of the homunculi has shown emotions. Greed showed emotion. He wanted his friends to be protected. That is why he asked Al to protect, what was her name? Snake Lady.
I
dang
can't
it.
remember.
Can't remember. Marta.
Yeah.
That is why Greed asked Al to protect Marta. That is why he got mad when he found his other quote unquote family dead. Wrath obviously shows that he loved Sloth. He cried when Sloth died. Sloth, you don't really get to see a lot of her emotions, but they don't really utilize her as much. Envy. He shows emotions all the freaking time. Anytime Hohenheim's brought up, he gets pissed. That is emotion. So I don't understand why she's just like, Gluttony, you ain't got emotions. Why you acting sad? He has shown every step of the way that he's had emotions. Anytime Lust is in trouble, he tries his best to protect her. Yeah. He gets scared. He's literally said before, scary. Like, they all show emotions, and she just completely glosses over the fact that every one of them has shown some form of emotion. And she's just like, y'all don't have emotions. What are you doing?
I feel as though she's trying to suppress her own because she doesn't want. She seems like she is emotionless. Period. Whereas all these other people are, or homunculi, I guess they're not people, but you know what I mean. They're showing emotion, so I feel like it's her projecting her own feelings onto them. Just like, shut up, stop crying. You know, you ain't got emotions. You ain't got to whine. And it's because she doesn't. It's like she seems cold, calculated about anything. She was going to kill that baby just to prove a point. She doesn't care.
No, she doesn't care, and I'm sure that's what 400 years and countless millions of people dying at your own hands will do to somebody.
But this is where things take a turn. because
Yes.
as she's doing her lecture about the baby, Ed pulls a little stunt and gets she created like a little stone snake, so he does something to kind of make it dissipate,
Mhm.
which, I'd have thought he'd have done something instead of letting the baby fall 6, 7, 10 feet, 40 feet out of the air, however high it was.
Right?
But he just catches it, and there was at least a little bit of something said before this happened, but the transmutation circle on the baby activates.
Dante said something about basically showing Edward the truth.
Yeah. Okay.
And about the gate. So, yes, the transmutation circle on the baby, which we have seen before because she used the baby before to open the gate for Hohenheim.
Right.
But she opens the gate, and the next thing you know, Edward is waking up.
In an entirely new body.
Yes.
In a new world with his dad. And
he has officially passed through the gate and is on the other side.
Where is he? I don't know. It looks like they went back in time a little bit, because it felt like we were kind of sort of, like I said, World War II-esque time. Now it looks like this is more World War I, because they're using Zeppelins and shit to attack, and it looks like they're in London maybe. I don't know. It was like, what the fuck just happened?
Mm-hmm. But not only that, but Edward also reunites with his father.
Well, I said that.
And did you?
Yeah, I said his dad was there.
Oh, yes. Well, his dad at first did not realize that it was his son from the other side of the gate, because, he's like, Edward, come on. And Ed is like, what the heck's happening? And then when Hohenheim asks Edward if transmutation means anything to him, he realizes that Edward has passed through the gate.
So they're going to explain what passing through the gate means, yes?
Yes.
Okay, because
I think the movie kind of explains it a lot more. These last few episodes, it has been so long since I've watched the anime. I completely forgot that actually happened in the show. I was expecting that to be the part in the movie, because that's where the movie kind of picks up with explaining what the fuck happens with the gate and all that kind of stuff. But I could also be misremembering, because it has been a very long time.
Well, I mean, there's still 2 more episodes.
There are still 2 more episodes.
So, what the hell?
I know. We got to get going.
Yeah, I'm so confused, because, I mean, he's not coming back, clearly. At least not right now. Or at least, I don't know.
We don't know. We got to watch the next 2 episodes.
Yeah, I don't know anything. This is the first time I'm watching it, and I'm confused because, holy shit, he's like, they're all gone. Everybody's separated. Everybody's just 2 more episodes, man.
Yeah.
It's chaos.
Yeah. How do you think the people felt when they watched this and then had to wait for the movie?
Yeah. Because I could imagine. Yeah, I'm so eager to see the last episode of this, just to have that understanding of having no end in sight, or at least not anything to be definitive, and just being like, that's where you're going to leave it? Fuck you.
Yeah. Well, I say we get on to the next episode.
All right.
All right, my weebs, you know where you can listen to us, whether it is, in the future or in the present. And we will see you next time.
This has been a Pencil and Paper Podcast Network production.